Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered why some Indian states are still growing rapidly in population while others have already started shrinking? Today we are going to diagnose India's demographic transition and understand exactly what is driving it. Let us begin with a very basic but important distinction. Natality refers to the physiological capacity to bear children, which is the potential, and the theoretical maximum is around 15 children. Fertility, on the other hand, refers to the actual bearing of children in a population, which is the reality. It is important to note that stillbirths, fetal deaths, and abortions are strictly excluded from fertility measurement. Both of these are measured within the reproductive span, which is roughly 15 to 45 or 49 years of age, representing a 30-year window of exposure to the risk of pregnancy. Fertility in India is governed by a complex matrix of interlocking variables. Higher historical fertility is attributed to the universality of marriage, low literacy, and traditional ways of life. These drivers can be organized into three rings. The core ring covers biological and temporal factors like age at marriage, duration of married life, spacing, and nutrition. The middle ring covers socio-demographic factors like education, wealth and economic status, caste and religion, and the outer ring covers systemic and cultural factors like family planning programs and deep-rooted societal factors. Let us look closer at the temporal drivers. First, age at marriage. Prior to 1951, the average age was just 13 years, despite the 1929 Sarada Act. The 1978 Restraint Act raised the legal age to 18 for girls and 21 for boys. And today, the national effective marriage age is 22.3 years. It is worth noting that postponing marriage from 16 to 21 decreases births by 20 to 30%. Second, duration of married life. 10 to 25% of all births occur within the first 5 years of marriage, while 50 to 55% of all births occur between 5 and 15 years of marriage. This is why family planning must intensely target the first 1 to 15 years of marriage. Now let us look at the biological modifiers, spacing and nutrition. Spacing of children acts as a temporal buffer. Postponing all births by just 1 year in each age group causes a measurable decline in total fertility. Nutrition has an indirect inverse relationship with fertility. Paradoxically, well fed societies exhibit low fertility, while poorly fed societies exhibit high fertility. This effect is largely indirect, tied closely to overall economic development. Development truly is the best contraceptive, and the data proves it. Looking at education and total fertility rate, women with no education have a fertility rate of 3.06, while women with 12 or more years of education have a fertility rate of just 1.71. That is a gap of 1.07 children between these two extremes. Looking at economic status, the lowest wealth index group has a fertility rate of 3.17, while the highest wealth index group has a fertility rate of just 1.54. Let us also look at the cultural and systemic realities. Caste and religion create demographic stratifications. According to NFHS 4 data, Hindus have a fertility rate of 2.13, Muslims 2.61, Christians 1.99, Sikhs 1.58, and Jains 1.20. Higher fertility is also observed in scheduled castes and scheduled tribes at 2.26 to 2.48 compared to others at 1.93. Family planning acts as the rapid initiation tool and is the key to declining fertility globally, requiring comparatively limited resources for rapid, short term deployment and immediate statistical impact. And finally, deep rooted factors, including the value of children, women's societal place, widow remarriage customs, and urbanization. Unlike family planning, Altering these societal foundations requires long term government programs and vast sums of money. To diagnose the demographic pulse, demographers utilize a nested hierarchy of 14 metrics, moving from blunt population estimates to precise predictive algorithms. This hierarchy has five levels. Level 1, population wide, the blunt instruments. Level 2, focused cohorts, refining the denominator. Level 3, precision targeting, using age specific rates. Level 4, predictive outcomes, using lifetime averages and replacement. And level 5, event modifiers, covering pregnancies and abortions. Let us start with level 1, the blunt instruments. Crude birth rate is the number of live births per 1000 mid year estimated population. The flaw here is that the denominator includes the entire population, men, children, and the elderly, who are entirely unexposed to childbearing. Marriage rates are also part of this level. Crude marriage rate is marriages per 1000 total population, which has an unsatisfactory denominator. General marriage rate is marriages per 1000 unmarried persons aged 15 to 49 and is highly sensitive, especially for women. These crude metrics are easy to compile but analytically unsatisfactory because the denominator includes individuals not exposed to the risk of childbearing or ineligible to marry. The crude birth rate formula is the number of live births during the year divided by the estimated mid year population multiplied by 1000. The crude marriage rate formula is the number of marriages in the year divided by the mid year population multiplied by 1000. And the general marriage rate, a more sensitive correction, is the number of marriages within 1 year divided by the number of unmarried persons aged 15 to 49 multiplied by 1000. And this is more accurate for women since men marry at older ages. Moving to level 2, refining the denominator. General fertility rate is live births per 1000 women in the reproductive age group of 15 to 49. This improves on crude rates by eliminating the non reproductive population, but its flaw is that it cannot identify high risk conception ages within this 30-year span. General marital fertility rate is live births per 1000 married women aged 15 to 49, and child woman ratio measures children aged 0 to 4 per 1000 women aged 15 to 49, which is useful because it can be estimated through census data and is crucial when vital birth registration statistics are non existent. This brings us to level 3, precision age specific targeting. Age specific fertility rate measures live births in a year to 1000 women in a specified age group. Its strategic value lies in identifying specific age groups with the highest reproductive potential, making it the most highly sensitive indicator for measuring the success of localized family planning interventions. Age specific marital fertility rate measures live births in a year to 1000 married women in a specified age group. Together, these isolate specific age brackets such as 20 to 24 years, identifying peak reproductive age groups for targeted family planning and throwing precise light on localized fertility patterns. Now, let us move to level 4, predictive lifetime averages. Total fertility rate is the sum of age specific fertility rates multiplied by 5 divided by 1000. This gives us the approximate magnitude of completed family size, the average number of children 1000 women would bear if they passed through their entire reproductive span, subject to current age specific rates. Total marital fertility rate follows the exact same mathematical operation but sums the age specific marital fertility rates instead, giving the average number of children born to a married woman experiencing the current fertility pattern throughout her entire reproductive span. Total fertility rate is considered the most accurate epidemiological measure of fertility. It answers the critical question: how many children would a woman have on average if she experienced current fertility rates throughout her life. The formula sums the age specific fertility rates from ages 15 to 49 across 7 5-year age intervals, multiplies by 5 and divides by 1000. Still within level 4, we have the replacement thresholds. Gross reproduction rate is the average number of girls born to a woman experiencing current fertility patterns, assuming no mortality, and is equivalent to the total fertility rate for female children only. Its threshold is exactly 1, meaning the population exactly replaces itself. Net reproduction rate is considered the ultimate metric. It is the average number of female live births that will occur to a newborn female as she grows up, factoring in current mortality rates. If the net reproduction rate is less than 1, reproductive performance is below replacement level. Finally, level 5, event based modifiers. Total pregnancies branch into live births, stillbirths, and abortions. Pregnancy rate is the ratio of all pregnancies, live, stillborn, aborted, or ongoing, to married women aged 15 to 49. Abortion ratio is total abortions performed divided by the number of live births over the same period. And abortion rate is the annual number of all abortions per 1000 women of childbearing age, 15 to 44. Now let us trace the historical arc of India's demographic dilemma. Before 1921, India experienced slow growth due to natural checks like famines and epidemics. 1921 marks the Great Divide. After this point, death rates plunged due to mass disease control, antibiotics, and improved food supply, while birth rates remained high, creating what is called the resulting explosion or the vicious circle. Population growth exploded from 1.25% in 1951 to a peak of 2.22% in 1981. Let us now look at India's current vital signs based on sample registration system data from 2023 to 2024. This shows a steady deceleration, confirming a trajectory toward absolute population stabilization. The total fertility rate stands at 1.9, which is critically below the 2.1 replacement threshold. The crude birth rate is 18.3 per 1000 population. The crude death rate is 6.4 per 1000 population, and the population growth rate has decelerated to 0.89% annually. But national aggregates hide a much more complex picture, what we can call the two Indias, a regional divergence matrix. Only 6 major states remain above the replacement threshold of 2.1. On the high growth side, Bihar has a total fertility rate of 2.9 with a crude birth rate of 26.8, followed by Uttar Pradesh at 2.6, Madhya Pradesh at 2.4, and Rajasthan at 2.3. On the stabilized or declining side, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra sit at 1.4, Kerala and Tamil Nadu at 1.3, and Delhi at just 1.2. Let us bring this all together in three key points. First, the era of stabilization. With a national total fertility rate of 1.9 and net reproduction rate dropping below 1, India has successfully navigated the vicious circle of the post 1921 demographic divide. Second, targeted diagnostics. National aggregates mask regional realities. The blunt instruments of the past must yield to precision age specific fertility rate targeting in high growth states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. And third, the economic imperative. As the effective marriage age pushes past 22.3, the ultimate driver of stabilization is the Bucharest reality. Deep economic development and female education as the ultimate contraceptive. Hope you have understood about the topic. If you found this video useful, please like and share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.